Well, if you just joined us, you're welcome. You're watching Politics HQ here on News Central Television, broadcasting live to 54 African countries and beyond. And the Nigerian election is our main focus for today. Farouq, Bibi-Farouk, Director of Planning, Research and Strategy of the New Nigeria People's Party, is my guest. Good to see you, Farouq, and thanks for your time. You know, quite a lot happening in your party. And finally, you have a campaign council just less than 2 months to the election.
Yes, strategically, it is time for us to have that council, and we have inaugurated it yesterday. Yes.
You know, before we delve into that, what's this news about your Kano candidate? Is he in custody or is he somewhere? Because the news about your Kano candidate is making the rounds in Nigeria. If you have any details, would you want to share, please?
Well, I do not have more details than what I have seen in the media because I've not spoken to him. I've spoken to one or two people that explained a couple of things, but they were not physically present when the drama happened. But certainly, it's important for us to take note of the fact that we are reaching a level of impunity, not only by office holders, but by spouses of office holders in Nigeria. And this is more specific to northern officers who abuse powers with impunity and try to make their families and their relations and wives in particular above what society has provided for them. They take offices as if they are maybe God ordained and they are there for life and everyone is a servant. And it's very unfortunate because this has not been the culture of Nigeria. We have had leaders, great revered leaders, who have held offices whose only relationship their families have had with people has been humility and modesty.
Well, anyway, I hate to cut you. Why? We appreciate that you say you do not have details. Perhaps maybe before the end of the show, we should be able to give more details as we'll be reaching out to the Department of State Security on that particular matter. But again, let's talk about your campaign council and a few other things that you have highlighted. Now, first, help us situate this talk about having a fiscal structure of your party across the country. Some have said the NNPP seem to be a northern party and a party that is more regional in outlook. How are you working to ensure that you speak more to the entire people as against a region of the country?
Well, I do not think it is right that the MPP is a northern party per se, to the extent that if you looked at the membership of our presidential council itself, it's about 70% southern. And we have presence in all of the southern states, all of the southern local governments. We have been establishing offices across border. What is seen to be northern about the NNPP is just his presidential candidate and his pedigree as being a former governor of Kano, a state that tends to decide to a large extent how northern politics is played. But in the last 14 years, we have been working across the country and setting up structures. But I do accept that a lot of the middle class, especially the middle class of the South, are not so akin to listening to us as much as they want to listen to others. But when they do listen to us, they know that the reality of the matter is we are more adept to being the best people to take the country out of its present predicament and create a new Nigeria. The NNPP itself was started March last year, and the whole idea was looking at the calamities that are happening in Nigeria and deciding on starting a brand new Nigerian thinking from a new slate. We have just had Mr. Opa talked from the United States, and that is a clear perception of what is happening in Nigeria. You see, in 2015, 2014, 2013, there was a lot of bitterness in Nigerian politics, but the bitterness was among Nigerian politicians. Many of them were not happy with Jonathan in the manner in which he was virtually clueless. He was not taking the country in the way in which Obasanjo and others attempted to. He was not following the Eradua programs in the manner in which everyone thought he would have done so. So the bitterness came in among the political actors. Now, because of the failure of the APC having benefited from that bitterness of, and if you can recall, even Jonathan himself was discussing that bitterness at a point in time. He was marveled that they were so bitter at everything that they thought he had taken something away from them. Now that bitterness has gone lower. It is no more among the political class. It is a bitterness that has gone to the streets, and it is a bitterness that is very clearly among certain class of Nigerians, especially the middle class, some of the elite of the middle class, and the younger Nigerians who were born actually just maybe 35 years ago, who therefore were just about 5 years when this democracy started and had expected, because being product of this democracy, to have seen things being done better. Our history as a political group metamorphosing into the NNPP has been that of a similar struggle with the youth of Nigeria born at that time. We were in the PDP. They tried as much as possible to muzzle us out of our ideology. We stuck to it, and our ideology is straightforward and clear. We are to work for the weakest members of society. Nigeria should benefit its people, and it will start from a hierarchy of the weakest members.
Let me jump in here, Farouq. Apologies. Quickly here, how do you hope to play catch-up? Because you, with your campaign council, you seem to be starting the party rather late. So playing catch-up for an election that is just about 49 days from now.
Nigerian politics is being discussed by journalists and other, even entertainers, where it is not entertainment, it is not journalism, it is politics. Those of us that are in politics are not looking at ourselves catching up. It's a strategic decision to have our PCC in January. What were we doing from March last year to January? We were traversing the local governments by road. We were not taking jets and paying journalists to come to the airport and giving them air-conditioned buses to follow us to podiums and dance reggae and dance the latest songs without interacting and with the people themselves, with the people at the grassroots. In the last 1 year, from March to now, we have visited 400 local governments on record. We have gone there physically. Our candidate has gone there physically. We have gone to local governments where they have told us that they had never seen a gubernatorial candidate of their own state. But we were there, we stayed there, slept in some of those places. We have listed this yesterday, and we are still going on. 400 local governments, and we are hoping to get into 700 before the election is over. That is our approach. We have traversed all the states by road, with the exception of just 3 we are waiting for. So if the others were planning and going to London and Paris, like Opa was saying, and deciding on who to talk to, in what company, position, what movement, what security service, what interest, we were going to the grassroots. And now it is time for us to start a movement on the zonal level. Therefore, we are going to start our zonal campaigns in the next 2 days. We'll start with the North Central. And so it is very important that all that we have created, the contacts that we have made, are now brought up into the PCC, and we are going to start a zonal campaign. And after the zonal campaign, we'll have national campaigns. They do not have that strategy because they are not building political parties. They are building personalities with ambitions because they have a lot of money, and a lot of money and needed now to be popular, and who have been in politics to make money and not to serve Nigerians. If you're serving Nigerians, you would have been doing a lot of work to the grassroots over time.
So Farouq, you're the director. Let me jump in here again, Farouq. You're the director of Planning, Research and Strategy, quite a strategic office, and want to be asking the question, what plans you already have for your National Assembly candidates, because so far it seemed to a lot of Nigerians that everything hovers around your presidential candidate, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. So what's the plan for others?
There is no state that we do not have gubernatorial candidates, strong, powerful. In some states, they have already overtaken the existing structures that are in power. But because they are coming from opposition, because the journalists and the entertainers prefer to see people on the ring, not to see people talking to the grassroots, they don't get that recognition. They will get it from the right people, the voters. We have senatorial candidates in every part of this country. We have House of Representative candidates in every part of this country. We have House of Assembly candidates in every part of this country. So unlike, you see, even recently I had an analysis on the Labour Party, because we had once talked to the Labour Party, and we are more friendly with the Labour Party because we are all, we have recognized the situation, the danger in which Nigeria faces, and we are trying to do something. They are also trying to do something. But if you look at us with the Labour Party, we have candidates all over, and the Labour Party does not have candidates at all, apart from their presidential candidate and the vice presidential candidate. You hardly have them have governors, not more than 3 or 4 states. So because they are not a grassroots movement, we have been doing this thing for the last 14 years. And we have been on the ground for the last 14 years. Probably the nature of politics is changing, and it is dynamic. Politics is dynamic. Now we'll get the recognition we require. The nature of Nigerian politics since the military came in, since about 1995, has been to form political parties that look like parastatals, where everybody goes there and every movement they make, they are paid. If they are to remove their slippers, they are asked to take it to the hall, they are paid for that, invoices fly around, and so on. Nobody talks about the ideologies of the parties, nobody talks about the commitment of those parties to the people. We have seen it from NRC, SDP formed by government, and the others continue to replicate this thing. We are going back to true politics of pre-independence time, when Nigerians get together, donate monies among themselves, put their ideas together, and pursue a cause and a purpose. And that is what has been happening in the NNPP since March last year. And that is what has been happening in us that originated, some of us that are progenitors of the NNPP, in the last 14 years and more.
So for the NNPP,
that there is no kobo that is spent by our candidate or our structure on any campaign activity. Our campaign activities are donations from voluntary activities from members of society. And so it is not
allow me jump in here, Farouq, for a bit.
Might not be so fashionable to a lot of journalists.
All right, Farouq, that said, let me jump in here with this document. It's a big document which is titled My Pledges to the Nigerian People by Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. Speak to the Nigerian people, if we can actually quickly summarize that in less than 2 minutes, some of the key concerns as a researcher for your party. What stands atop that pledge to the Nigerian people by your candidate?
Well, we have always had an ideology, so it is not difficult. It is not like the others who are trying to find what Nigerians want to hear and put it in a document like a novel and sell. No, we have always started from our basic core issue: education, education, education. And in education, we have promised Nigerians a lot. We have 20 million Nigerian kids out of primary school, out of schools. We have committed ourselves to building 500,000 classrooms in the first 4 years of our administration. We have done so in the state we have had before, so we do not see it as a very difficult thing. It's a matter of having about 40 blocks in every local government. You will end up with almost, those blocks have enough classes to give you about 500,000. We will now swamp out the out-of-school children, because our ideology says take care of the weakest, and for us the weakest are the children, the kids. We give them free medical care from conception to 5 years of age, and we give them free primary school, we give them free secondary school, we give them free university education, and we give them free scholarships where they have 2-1 and first class to any part of the world to come and excel and be builders of Nigeria. We have done it. In our record, we have almost 4,000 of those from both Kano and other states of the nation, that we have even maintained that position even after we've lost power in Kano. So out of Kano, we have maintained it as a national position. We are not going to charge students for writing JAM, for writing WAEC, for writing any examination. We are not going to charge any worker, any applicant for applying to work for the federal government of Nigeria. No forms will be charged for that. We are going to give JAM a 4-year tenure so that when you pass your JAM, you have an ability to hold on it for 4 years until you can get admission. If you don't get admission in 4 years, that is when it could expire. We are interested and we are determined to bring up our university system, reform it in a manner where we'll locate research activities with university activities. And we'll make sure that everything coming out, the productivity that other people are talking about, the importation of productivity is not in our line. What we are going to do is to make sure that our universities are responsible for our productivity and effort to produce. So every aspect of our lives, especially productive life, will have units in the universities where there will be contribution. That is with education. We have seen the challenges in security. And we do believe that security challenges come from lack of education and the lack of food. This government has woefully failed. There is nothing they have done about education, so our security challenges have increased. They have done very little about agriculture. That has also increased. Our commitment is every inch of Nigeria will be free from any kind of bandit, any kind of terrorist. We do agree that some of the people agitating have some genuine reasons for agitation. We will not take away that.
Do you have clear cut-out plans on how to arrest the situation? Because it's not enough to say we will do away with banditry. We had the same story almost 8 years ago with the incumbent.
Our candidate was a minister of defense when there was peace in this country, and they maintained that peace. The plan is we are going to increase the foot on ground, boots on ground, from the 250,000 we have now, which we believe is insufficient, to about 1 million. Now, when we have 1 million, we are going to train 1 million to secure the whole of Nigeria. And the moment sufficient security is available, we are going to make the bulk of that 1 million to start participating in social services at local levels. We have a plan to have community orientation and participation committees in every ward of Nigeria, 8,809 wards. And those 8,809 wards will be responsible for creating and screening the security people who will employ. So they would be from the communities, and immediately after security is guaranteed, they will come back to those levels and continue to participate in the security activities. The community orientation and participation committees are going to be part of the running of the local governments and the wards. We have realized that Nigeria is facing an issue of alienation. Mr. Opa has been trying to put his fingers on it, but he couldn't. The problem with Nigeria is that of the common man, the grassroots person is alienated from governance, because our colonial history happened to have made it possible for the traditional rulers who had full control but stopped to slavery to have lost power but retained customary control and influence. While the colonial people who came only for monies and interest in our resources took over military and police powers. And when they left, they handed over that military and police powers to the very generals that he has been talking about. So the Nigerian average person does not relate to the governance of Nigeria. So we are going to form these committees and make them relate to participate in the governance of their communities, from which they will participate in the governance of their states, the governance of their local government, and the governance of Nigeria. And when that happens, you will see that if somebody steals money in Nigeria, there will be people from his community, from his local government, from his state to ask him why. Whether he's a general or he's a civilian, or whether he's a rich man or a poor man, a permanent secretary or a clerk, those people will have control, because there will be about 11 of them, including the clergy and so on, from those communities. Youth leaders, women leaders, political party, opposition leaders, and so on. About 11 will be the core partners in this thing. Then they can expand. So we have a plan for what we want to see Nigeria become in the next 4 years. We are not into this just to dance and get offices and start supplying ourselves with all the luxuries in life and flying to London every 3 weeks and deciding to give Nigerians excuses. This is what we are doing with security. It includes the fact that we have said that any core member that intends to join either the police or the military would be given a 2-year program of NYC instead of a 1-year program and be enlisted into the army or to the police to continue with their security issues. And so
let's, because we're winding down, let's bring in this perspective, which is now gaining some form of traction, and it has to do with a section of the Nigerian populace that hasn't been addressed by quite a number of candidates, people living with disabilities. They say no candidate has actually spoken on what plans they do have for them.
Well, I read that thing, but I think they have not read the manifesto and the blueprint of the NNPP. I wish it was here. If we were not on TV, I would have shown you the pages. We have addressed on our social services specific people with challenges, including women who are facing violence and who are facing diseases like BVF and so on. We are, in fact, the evidence of our rule in Kano, the candidate when he was governor in Kano had special assistants, about 3 of them, on people with disabilities. It is not an ignored issue. It is not, and they are part of our process. The issue they look at, if they look at what APC did, they picked among them and isolated them from the realities of their disabilities and turned them into apparatus of political influence and money people, and nothing was done about them. They only recognized them in their constitution. We recognize everyone equal, but every right must be pursued. Whether you are challenged or not, you must work towards the greater Nigeria, a new, better Nigeria that we're hoping to get. That includes
lastly for me here to you, it has to do with the Almajiri children. Recently I spoke with Governor Abdullahi Sule, and we also brought that issue, and I know it should also worry you. No one loves to see those young, bright future, being wasted there on the street. In terms of education and your party's policies, are there plans, workable plans that will see that these Almajiri out from our streets?
I've said it at the beginning that we intend to take away the entire 20 million out-of-school children back into schools. We have plans for that. We did it in Kano. I was part of the team that did it in Kano, to a point where there were no Almajiri on the streets of Kano. And I personally, not talking on behalf of either the party or what we did in Kano, being part of it, I observed clearly that the failure of governors in particular states, creates and regenerates these out-of-school children. And if you walk in the streets of Abuja today, go and look at anybody that is 18 to 20 years old that is hawking without good direction of life. Ask him, he will tell you it's either from Zamfara State, from Katsina State, from about 4 states, Yobe State, states where governors just took away the resources. From Kano, we know the particular age groups that were under particular administrations that have not been touched educationally. We see them. We know that some of them
we'll stay on these. We'll stay on this. A good thing, well, you just kicked off, so we'll have you back here on the show so that we can talk more on what plans and you do have for Nigerians. We'd like to thank you for your time, Farouq, Bibi-Farouk.
Thank you, Sulaiman. I've not seen you for quite a while. I didn't know you have relocated here, actually. Now I'll be watching this channel.
Thank you very much, and thanks for your time, and we hope to have you back again.
And you have changed, you have put in the beard.
All right, I'll see you then.